Hola, buenos días. Vamos a dar inicio a la rueda de prensa.
Good morning. We are going to start the press conference of one of the films of the official section this year in the festival. This is L'Île Rouge, Red Island by Robin Campillo. And we have here the team of the film. From the right to my left, we have Marie-Ange Luciani, producer of the film, then Robin Campillo, director of the film, QUIM Gutierrez, actor, and NADIA TERESZKIEWICZ, actress. Because there's many of you, we're going to open up the floor for questions. One first question here.
Hola, estoy aquí.
Hi.
Quería preguntar
I'd like to ask about how you wrote the character, the co-protagonist, because I was thinking over the whole film that something was going to happen to her, and I thought they're going to kill her sometime in the film. Was there something in the original script that was there? Did you ever have that idea, or did I just make it up?
You want me to answer in English or in French?
We have simultaneous translation, so you can speak in French without any problem.
Pardon? You prefer in English? Okay. You know, the film is about hidden violence. You know, there's a kind, it's like a portrait of a paradise where you can feel behind the curtain a kind of violence, but you cannot define it. And of course, because it's through the eyes of a child, he's not sure of what he's looking at, because it's like a theater scene where the grown-ups make a theater play about paradise. But what I was interested in is that there's a kind of violence, even towards Colette. But it's something that you feel, but you're not sure. Maybe in the intimacy, it's more hard between them. But we don't know. And my idea was that there's a kind of suspense around that, but it's never out. It's never clear. And you realize at the end that the ultimate violence is against the people of Madagascar. And for me, but that doesn't mean that the violence in the couple doesn't exist. But it's about to happen. And for me, it's clear that it's going to happen if they go back to France. If the illusion of colonialism, if the paradise is over, that would, I think the character of Robert will express more violence when they go back to France. So I think you're right, there's a kind of violence, but which is a little bit blur. And I love that idea that it doesn't come out. I like the fact that to make film which looks like very soft, where the violence is always in the backstage, and you can feel it by moments. You know, even when I was young, because I was on a military base in Madagascar when I was young, it's of course part of my history. It was like a fairy tale. We were just like all children, even grown-ups, and we were in this kind of fairy tale. But behind the fairy tale, there was the army, there was military men, and so that's why I did this scene that I was really amazed when I was young to see the Santa Claus, you know, in the plane, and behind him you had this guy. The military guys who were giving the presents, and for me it was always that there was an illusion of colonialism, and behind a violence, and there was a violence for the guy from Madagascar people, but also for my mother. There was some kind of thing that would happen at some point. So you're right.
Hi, question here. I think when you mention the word fairy tale, it's very precise, especially when you think about the part of the Fantomette. It's amazing the way you approach the superhero style. I would like to hear about that. Did you use any animation technique? And another question, if you allow me to. It's impossible to watch The Red Island without remember old Hollywood classics, like, for example, From Here to Eternity, a movie that's placed on a military basis. Did you use any reference from the classic Hollywood or classic movies about those military environments? Thank you very much.
Thank you for the comparison with From Here to Eternity, which was a major exciting thing when I was a child. And about the first question about Fantomette, you know, it has been a long journey to find how I'm going to shoot with my producer. We thought about it a long time, because I was supposed at the beginning to do the Fantomette episode in real life. So we searched places in France which were looking like these kind of illustrations you have in a children's book. But in fact, you know, the France which is described in these books doesn't exist anymore, and I think it never existed. So it's a fantasy. And for me, it's like for the main character, the child in Thomas, it's a fantasy of France that it doesn't know. So after a moment, because we searched for places like for 4 or 5 months, I realized that I wanted to do it with, how do you call that, maquette, small, you know, things like this. So I decided, I found on the internet a guy who was doing this kind of thing, and I decided that my characters would be moving in this kind of small set. And so it was a very long work of imagining all the shooting of that, and that was really interesting because I wanted it to be absolutely fake, absolutely like it's like another exotism compared to the exotism of Madagascar, like another level of dream in the film, because the film is in a logic of dreaming for me. And after, when we were shooting in Madagascar, I even realized that I wanted the grown-ups in Fantomette to have masks, you know, and I was really amazed by that, because I thought about that like 2 or 3 weeks before shooting Fantomette. So someone did the mask very quickly, but I was so sure of that, and I loved that because I loved the idea that I asked my actors, for instance, in the first scene of the small dinner, but not dinner, lunch, I wanted them to play a little bit too much, you know, because I wanted to think that grown-ups in real life have masks as well as the characters, the bad characters of grown-up in Fantomette. So it has been a work in progress all the time, and I was really happy to do that and to make, because it was something I was reading when I was young, and so it was like giving life to someone to something which was so meaningful for me and for Thomas in the film, because I was, to escape all that, I was imagining myself as a woman superhero, you know, and it was like a resistance to the military order of my everyday life, you know, and so, and even the clothes of Fantomette, I was amazed of that, and my mother did this outfit for me when I was young, and I met like 50 years ago the girl Suzanne, my best friend, when I was there. I didn't see her for 50 years, and she told me when I saw her a few years ago, she told me, you could have give me a little bit your outfit, because she would have liked to put it on herself, and I didn't want because it was mine. So. That was too long, sorry.
Bonjour, félicitations pour votre film. Alors, je voudrais
Buenos días.
insister sur la question de la choix du fantomètre comme le fil rouge du film. Parce que
I'd like to underline the character of Fantomet as the red thread in the movie. Maybe you wanted to also denounce the use of certain means to preserve the French domination. I don't know if this is so, and the use of this child book was aimed at also denouncing this French colonialism. And I have a second question. I'd like to know why you decided to use only 20 final minutes to give protagonism to the inhabitants in Madagascar.
I wanted the film to be cruel. I wanted to show the cruelty of colonialism. So to show that, I really wanted to make the spectator to be attached, to be touched by a family who looked so nice, and my parents were really nice, and I was nice, and everything was great, and I wanted, and just at the end, to go through the curtain. Because, you know, it's like, I didn't want, you know, what Godard was saying on TV, on French TV. It said it's always 5 minutes for the Jewish, 5 minutes for Hitler, you know. And it's not a question of equality in time. It's a question of intensity in the cruelty, in the denunciation of the cruelty. And for me, that was very important, that you see these people and you think they are so nice. You know that there's something wrong, of course, very quickly. And after, you take them out of the table. And that's a revolution. That's how it happens. And the protagonists of the film, the Malagasy people, take all the scenes. And I like so much to be in unbalanced in this case. And about the cultural domination, it's true because, you know, I'm born in Morocco, I live in Morocco, in Algeria, and in Madagascar, so I did all the last colony. And my mother loved cinema. It's because of her that I love cinema, because when I was in Morocco, I went to the cinema when I was 6 months, because there was a cinema, you know, outside cinema. I don't know, we're outside cinema, and we saw so much film, you know what? Because it was our culture, and we saw a lot of French films to be connected. And so that was a little bit crazy, because it was like we were so strongly French. And it was attached to that. And the thing is that also how we were looking at the cultural elements of the country we were living in. And that's what I show in my film. We were buying, you know, furniture for the apartments, you know, and it's not, you know, because colonialism is trying to make, that creates a strong art craft, I can say, in every country, you know, when they buy the table or all those things. So there were no other artists that the artists we were doing this little thing for the colonials, for the tourists and all these things. So it's like they were trapped in time to do always the same thing, the same material to be sold to us, you know? And when we were changing country, we were changing our furniture, and we were at the taste of the moment, and all these details for me are very, very important. Because it's not, you know, when you think about colonialism, you think about massacre, which are real, you think about domination, but all the details, all the small details are very important. And when you're a child, you don't realize that, because it's like a fairy tale, as I said. It's like exotism. That's why.
¿Hay aquí otra pregunta?
Hi, congratulations on the film. I just wanted to ask you, as a director, how do you manage the point of view of the characters in this movie? Because I feel like the point of view changes a lot throughout the movie. As a director, how difficult is to manage that? And also for the cast of the movie, how was it to create the relationship between these characters? Thank you.
Okay. For me, it's not difficult to think about the point of view because I start with that, so I do films for that. For me, it's like, what is a perception of everyday life and perception of big history at the same time? How you manage to understand, especially when you're a child. And you know, the film is a little bit blurred because it was blurred because my conscience were getting older, but it's also blurred because it was a long time ago and I'm obviously older now. So it's like the mix of the two. And I wanted to have, you know, how can I say, you will pass from another point of view with, for instance, for me, you have characters that helps you to go to another level. And it starts with the young military guy, Bernard, and his girlfriend, Myangali. And when you go, and with Myangali, you discover the revolution. And for me, it was very simple, like this. That was the start. You know, I wanted the people to follow all these characters and to change their emotion, their perception of the situation through these characters. You know, so in fact, the young Thomas, dressed as Fantomet, is looking at this couple, and in fact, his character fade away, and you take the character of Bernard, and Bernard fall asleep, and you take. It's like you are. For me, that the spectator embody different characters and go through them to discover another reality, another background. I'm going to let you talk now.
But, no, I feel that for us, we didn't really know about what point of view it will be, in the sense that we had moments of lives. We really knew our characters because we talked a lot with Robin before for months. And so, I don't know, I have the feeling that we didn't know what he was going to steal and take and where the camera was really. We had like, I have memory of souvenirs, of moments, of different part of the life of the characters. And then it was a real surprise when I watched the movie to discover where he was, what he could take from us, and how the vision is changed through which place you are in the movie. But we, of course, and that's a good thing, we didn't know about it, because otherwise, I don't know, it would be so hard to act, I think. If you know what he's taking, it's better to just don't know.
The way we built the relations was based on three gifts. Sorry, 3 gifts that Robin gave us. One was the cast itself. I think that I don't know. I know some French actors, but they were absolutely unknown to me. And I thought that everybody was cast in a way that maybe we didn't know the reasons, but it worked amazingly for all of us. And everyone was impersonating what I have read on the script in a very particular way. And it worked well, not only on the acting level, but as well at the personal level. There was a great understanding and a great will in every one of us involved to go further. This was the first one. The second one was the opportunity to rehearse. And Robin is very precise in what he wants during rehearsing. Actually, we might have rehearsed too much. based on the exhaustion that we had some days on the first. No, it's never too much. It's never too much. But we had this opportunity to really work it, and he made us go again and go again and go again. And even if it's exhausting, I really like that. You don't always have this opportunity, and at the same time, the precision of what he wants, right? He was like, no, 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 this, no, 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 that. And that's great. I prefer that than some ambiguities. And the third thing is information. He gave us so much information about the time, his experiences, the characters, what they feel. Yeah. Contradictory things, which is something that it's so uncommon. Normally, I read more characters that are underline what are they feeling and what do they mean to the film, that characters that show contradictory pulses, like we all do. Like reality is based on contradictory pulses, and that's what we have. And this is a great gift as an actor, not knowing exactly, is this guy a good guy, but he's warm with his children, but he might be violent, does he hate his wife, does he love her, but at the same time he might be gentle at times. But that amount of information of the time and what he wants in the character, there's a last thing is that he doesn't want to point exactly what you want you to do. So I give you all this information, you work it, you put it in yourself, you take it out in your guts, but I'm not going to tell you exactly what I'm wanting to show because I don't know. And that's the fourth thing that Robin gives us, to be a director and have the freedom to put those actors playing and see on the camera, what do you want to take? It's not knowing, it's allowing yourself to see. And that might be exhausting as an actor too, because you go on the scenes a lot, but it's an enormous pleasure to see afterwards.
And I would like just to add that, like, many times also for the relations, because we had children on set, sometimes I saw Kim like playing like with the ball for hours, and I was like, seriously? And I had to go. And then when we say action, and I see the children who do not act because they know us, I thought it's the best method acting. Like if we have a method, is to create links also in life, because it made the children like not see the difference between between takes and takes. So yeah.
Ahí hay otra pregunta.
My question is for Kim. I wanted to ask about your character. There's a trait in your character. He's a member of the colonial army, French army, so oppressor, but at the same time, he's discriminated for his origin. So I wanted to ask about that. Well, it's one of the main features of this character, and I was informed about it in my first meeting with Robin a year and a half before we started shooting, and that's one of the things that I liked best, that capacity of someone who apparently needs to show off because the social and cultural circumstances search for a macho man, a certain assurance, certain of a male feature based on force and strength, a man who can just punch someone, and at the same time something from this character is that he wanted to have fun. He could be caring about his kids. He loved his kids. So there was a mixture of features and traits that really made me want to join this project. So I was told about this by Ruben much before I was part of the project. Even before the castings and everything, and for me that was like a spark. It opened the door to a spectacular opportunity, and I really enjoyed it. I dreamed to find this kind of characters, and maybe I'm repeating myself, but this is the most significant in this story. It's about not being really able to say what this character is about, which is actually how real life is, and that's very important for this. And there's a lot of fantasy. You have the child's point of view, how the child perceives the parents. So he's a witness of the violence, but at the same time, he loves them. So this relationship with Nadia was fascinating, showing this inherent violence. You sense that something terrible is about to happen, and at the same time, the desire, and they're kind to each other, and an exchange of role. At times, he is the kid. And this is something he side sometime. This ring, the ring that he actually designs. So he's the father, but he's designing it. He wants to be the protagonist of the situation through the kid. And there, what you really have is some marriage commitment between the child and the mother. So he's a child spectator of the situation, and I thought this was fantastic. And we were really close to them when this was shot. And I was next to Nadia, and Thomas gave her the ring, and I was in the background, and I was like a spectator of the marriage between your wife and your child. And you become a child again, a kid. So this father is sometimes father and sometimes child, and we could talk about it for hours, because this film has shown me the talent, Robin's talent, applied to an enormous amount of details and information, and sometimes you need to invent things and make up things as an actor, and here he offered all that to us. So, moving on with you, Kim, next to the cameras here. Can you tell us any funny anecdotes? How was it to do it in French? And where are you at a professional and personal level after all your success lately? So, funny anecdotes, I'm terrible at that. And Robin talked about the first scene, and it was a moment for me, because it was the first week of shooting. It's the first thing we did, and I always try to find something in my characters, and it is the biggest amount of possible truth. And there was something in his indications that wouldn't give us that, so we were working on the fantasy without being aware of it. So that point of view of overacting, of acting too much. So the sequence was created like that, the sentences and the script were such, and there was an internal conflict where I was trying to find the truth within that structure, and I had a hard time, I must admit. It was uncomfortable, because the character was very sure, seemed very assured, and of course the language, because my French is not good at all. It was a fantastic exercise, but very complicated, because it was not only about saying sentences here. We had to improvise, not the text really, but the situation itself. So there was a group sequence where you must be the host and feel, like I say, assured, charismatic, and it's difficult when it's not in your own language, in your mother tongue. So we worked a lot with a fantastic coach, Valérie Drouot, in order to have all the necessary grammatical material to get some truth in that kind of sequence. And because I'm not very good for anecdote, I'll take you something Nadia already mentioned, and it's about the playing with kids. It's true that I've already shot several times with kids, but here I was the father to 3 sons, and there's nothing better than trying to re-establish the bonds Nadia was talking about. So I spent a lot of time with them, not only to introduce the kids in a shooting dynamic, so that when the director said action, things would be easier, but also for myself, because this bond that I created with them was real, and this is something that you can then see on screen. So there's something we in French call promiscuité, which is not promiscuity, and it's about, Roman told me, it's about touching. This is a very Latin, it's very much of the Pied Noir, the black immigrants, and this is something that come from Africa, and this is really something you have by touching kids, and by touching them, they also feel comfortable. So, I mean, if then you have to grab them during a scene, they're used to being with you, so that's more natural. And I'm very happy about that. So, as an actor, I'm known mainly for my comedy. So being in San Sebastian, presenting this film, and I'm sure you probably talk about what's been seen on Netflix now, watched on Netflix now, that I've done. I'm very fortunate to be here with this.
I can add something about my actors and the character when you were talking about the character of Robert and the fact that he's Spanish. At the beginning, my father was originally Spanish, but not so much, you know. But I must say, when we went back in France, we realized that we had a lot of discrimination because we had a Spanish name. We are talking about the 70s in France, so it was like this, really. I mean, and it was something we should be ashamed of. That's reality at the moment. So, in fact, for me, it's always a work in progress. I met a lot of French actors. I didn't find the guy I wanted. And I met this guy because I searched on the internet. I wanted a Spanish actor because I like to work with foreign actors. And for even French actors on the shooting, it's better to have someone with a very different culture. And so he became more Spanish than I wanted at the beginning. And for me, it changed a lot of things. You know, that's why it's not doing a film is not just realizing the script. It's more than this, because it created in my mind something which is very important. That he has a power as a father, as a man, as a male on his wife, for instance. But when she said to him, "But you were Spanish before marrying me," she takes the power. And it's a kind of humiliation. You know, and so for me in this film, everyone is a child in front of another person who has a power. Everyone is a minor, not only the child, and even the Malagasy, even Myangali at the end, it's a child who has to become, and that's why the song of the revolution in Madagascar was so strong. Goodbye, enfance, Childhood, yes, and because it was really about that. That's you have to, if you want to make a political move, you have to stop to be a child, to be a minor, and so what I liked, those people changed my film, you know, and they made it better. And I love Kim. I was so happy to meet him because for me, Kim is like this kind of actor from the 70s, I think more Italian actors, you know, who can be in a film by Pasolini or in a peplum, you know, and he kind of be very, with a big interiority and at the same time very brutal. And that was amazing for me because I didn't find it in France, and I was really happy to work with him. And on the other hand, Nadia, she's younger than was my mother, but she was 33 at the moment, my mother, but she had this kind of life of modernity. I didn't want the mother to look like an old-style woman. I wanted to feel life in her, and the possibility of modernity, that she's stuck in this family. She's the prisoner of her husband, but of her children too, you know? And so she had this life in her to create that. And that's why it's important, because when you find the actors to embody your script to be better than what you think, and to make you understand what you are working for, but it's so important. So I thank them and myself. That's it.
Bueno, vamos a dar por cerrada la rueda de prensa de presentación de la Isla Roja.
So this is the end of the press conference. I know there are questions in the air, but the team has many commitments due to the presentation of their film today. Congratulations. Thank you very much, and enjoy the day at the festival. Thank you so much, and thanks to you.